As Jamie said, in this session we're going to talk about AI. Just really to kick it off, in our research we're finding more advisors are becoming more interested in using AI. We're finding more advisors using AI. We are starting to get a sense that quite a few businesses who are using AI in different aspects of their business are actually able now to find a bit more capacity to grow, to serve new clients. So we are already getting a sense that it is having an impact. So at the moment, things like automated transcription services and sort of summarising meeting notes and things like that. But there's plenty more opportunity, as the panel will get into in a second. So just before I ask the panel to introduce themselves, we will have some time for questions at the end. So if you do have any questions, save them up, and I think you can submit them via the app or put your hand up, and we'll get a microphone over to you. So I'd just like to ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves. So who they are, who they work for, and sort of what they're bringing to this conversation in terms of either what they're offering advisors in terms of AI or how they're using AI in their business at the moment. I was going to say, should we start on the right-hand side? So Madeleine, would you like to get started?
Hi everybody, my name is Madeleine Debney. I'm the founder of Otto Finance. We are an AI technology company. We are using agentic AI to automate workflows for advisors. Our goal is to do the manual work for you, to give you time back to grow your business, to meet with your clients. We use AI in everything that we do, from coding, sales, operations, customer support. We are truly built with AI from the ground up and excited to be here.
I'm Helen Lovett, Foster Denovo's Chief Operating Officer. We started looking to deploy AI a couple of years ago, so we are fairly clear on what's easy to make work and what's more difficult to make work, and we're still very aware of the additional benefits we can get into the future that we're still working on. So yeah, we're in it.
Hi, I'm
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Peter Ferguson. I'm AI lead at St James Place. We offer our advisors a few different AI-enabled tools, from our advice assistant, which helps them process their back office admin and suitability matters, those sorts of things, through to Chat SJP, which is it's a not very good name, but Chat SJP, which helps our advisors navigate policies and procedures internal to SJP.
Nice. Hello, I'm Rowan Whittington. I'm Director of Product at Dynamic Planner, a financial advice platform helping advisors to unlock their capacity and productivity at scale. So we have been around for a long time, automating advice and doing very similarly to everybody else here in terms of trying to move complex processes into much shorter timeframes and bringing things down. So lots of people who use Dynamic Planner see a kind of 40% productivity growth year on year. We are super excited about AI, and lots of the use cases that we have been automating over the years, we're actively looking at adding that final sprinkle to take the last 10% down from 5 minutes to 5 seconds, down from 10 minutes to 10 clicks. So we are looking deeply across all of the processes that we've got on our platform to introduce AI where appropriate, whilst also acknowledging that we've been using machine learning in our investment services team for a long time. So we have lots of automated processes there and AI processes there around our risk profiling and client profiling that we do for lots and lots of customers out there in the market.
Excellent, thank you very much, everyone. So that sort of brings neatly on to what was my first question, which is, I'm interested to actually hear some concrete case studies. There's obviously a lot of talk about AI. Everyone, the minute you pick up a newspaper, if anyone still reads newspapers, you read articles about AI. What for a financial advisor specifically, what are, beyond the, I mentioned sort of transcription services and sort of summarising meeting notes, what are we actually talking about when we're talking about AI? So maybe start with you, Rowan.
Yeah, happy to. So our vision and lots of the proof of concepts and the pieces that we're working on at the moment are absolutely at the top of the chain in transcripts, summaries, notes, actions, taking things from the start and moving that through, making sure that you don't lose the quality and the context of what your client has said to you. We're also looking at kind of automating suitability, so where you can put your advice policy into our system, you can ensure that your clients are being automatically placed into the right target markets for you. You get to kind of control how that works, and then you can automate certain processes. We are very keen to keep an advisor in the loop wherever that true advice is needed. But we are working on that, and then there's kind of compliance at scale. So we're working with a lot of our larger customers, which we hope will also benefit most of our customers, on how we can, in live real time, make sure that advisors are given the support to acknowledge when they're going outside of the boundaries that they themselves have set. So at the moment, transcription services are out there and they're being used. We've got our own in general availability at the moment. But there's a lot more that can be done, and all of that is around data. So if you don't have good data, if you're not in the right systems, if your data isn't flowing between all of your different tools of choice or your platforms of choice, you cannot apply AI at scale there. You might be able to make a change on the edge, but the data is the most important bit. So we talk a lot about suitability management and compliance at scale.
Okay. The way that we see it is we're on a journey and we're very much on day one. So if you think about where a lot of the energy has been focused and a lot of the ROI, it's on that client servicing layer. So the meetings, the reporting, the kind of high level quality check, compliance. Over time though, we will move further down into the transactional element, into the advice process itself, into deeper infrastructure. And that's when you'll see the 10x benefit. But we think the applications now that are focusing on that client servicing is the right route in, because there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. It enables advisors to be able to start using these systems, understanding how it fits into their broader strategy. But what's really, really important is that any use of AI should be, unless it's for experimentation, but if it's for embedded use of an organization, it should be growing towards a bigger vision of what you're trying to achieve. And maybe that's having more personalized client experience. Maybe that's increasing the number of clients per advisor. It needs to be part of a bigger journey because the technology is moving so quickly. And what will happen is we'll be able to unlock those next steps quicker and quicker.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you consider that a blocker to a lot of productivity tools, as Rowan said, has been the data that we hold, the only way in the past that we've had to get around that is to have people actually capturing data kind of tippy-tappy into systems, which is dull, and actually the advisors tend not to be very good at it. Because they're not very motivated to do it, and therefore the data tends not to be very good. So I think the genius of what's going on now with, and when you say beyond the note taker, I think there's lots of people still not using note takers, right? Which is just, if you're not, then go and get yourself one, because they do just work out of the box. And of all the things, of all the IT that I've seen implemented, in the last 100 years of my career, it's been the most easy to see benefit from. People just kind of, take it out of the shrink wrap and it works. But what it also does is it captures data into systems without human beings having to tip-tappy it in. And so, I saw, maybe 18 months ago, someone on a panel like this say that, from St James's Place actually, say AI makes humans more human. It wasn't you, I don't think. It was a girl. So unless, I don't know if you want to tell us about that journey. But no, it was a lady. So she said AI makes humans more human. And the reason she said that, and I've everyone in Foster Denovo knows that, right? So I won't stop banging on about it, is because it actually avoids that horrible interface of typing into a system, which doesn't make anybody feel human, right?
But you couldn't ask for richer data than multiple meetings with the client.
Yeah.
It's sort of like 10xing a fact find, right? And we really have to find ways to utilize that. And if we can utilize that, that's what will enable us to get that personalized client experience, but at total scale.
Yeah.
So as advice businesses that have implemented AI, I'd be keen to know, Peter, what's been the biggest impact? Where is it really sort of where did you go, wow, that's actually had a huge impact immediately?
Yeah, so I think the use cases that we've spoken about so far are like augmentation on what we already do. And that's where we're seeing the most benefit, quite frankly. And as you said, all our information that advisors gather about their clients, whether it's meeting transcripts, whether it's pension transfer documents, you name it, it's all unstructured. That's where the wealth of information is. So yeah, the biggest bang for buck, quite frankly, at the minute is in structuring that. And then, as you said, Madeleine, using that. Now we already have a system that sort of helps suggest compliant advice that our advisors could give. So we're already starting to utilize that. But yeah, that will be the sort of next explosion. Completely agree. But I think the businesses that will win are the ones that don't just augment what they do currently, but completely transform how they operate based on this new sort of capability of capturing unstructured data, turning it into structured insights and things that they can act on.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so I spoke to a proper data scientist about 9 months ago, and he explained to me that actually we won't need to turn our data into structured data, because if you consider an information estate instead of a data estate, so there'll be documents, there'll be transcripts, there'll be recordings, there'll be some data, and AI can just use all of it. It kind of looks across it. We're not doing that yet, okay, so I can't tell you that it works, but it sounded really cool. And so I think that ability to capture information in such a way as we can then use it will transform absolutely how we operate. I mean, I don't think it's just AI. I think technology in general has very rapidly become interesting again, having been very dull in our market for a very long time. You know, we've had the same leaders in CRM systems for too long. You know, what should happen is the market should turn over. You know, you should get new entrants and innovation, and it's been a bit stale, I think. And now you can start to see it moving at a wild pace. You know, and one of the bits of advice I would give actually is, you know, don't invest too centrally into a third party at the moment. You know, look to, forgive me, but be able to plug and play right, because the people that are winning now are not necessarily going to be the winners downstream, and you don't want to be in a place where you've completely hitched your wagon.
Well, you need ownership of your data,
yeah,
because then you have the flexibility to evolve as the technology evolves.
I was going to echo that flexibility.
I think I joined Dynamic Planner a year ago, and we used to talk a lot about automation, and a lot of people would get scared when we said automation, right? So that's tech, that's AI is the new version of automation, but automating processes and taking that sludge away is what we've been doing for a long time. And actually it was really interesting to see that cultural shift that you're talking around. 5 years ago, people would say, "Oh, we don't want to do that, we don't trust it." And now people are kind of running away and going to use things that genuinely aren't tested and aren't trustworthy. So it's finding that balance of the right use cases and the right pieces where you do want to apply a new piece of technology or you do want to apply a new piece of AI, and the other processes that you just want to speed up. You just want to automate that. You don't want to remove the human from that loop. You don't want to make that something that you can't control and can't see. You don't want to put that into a black box. And it's making that decision in your business, which areas you want to maintain total ownership and control of, and which are just admin tasks that you want to automate and get done. And I think, Madeleine, you talk a lot about your agentic AI and kind of building your own workflows and building your own systems. And that's something that us, as maybe one of the legacy tech providers, we're opening up our API so that people can use it however they want. We're saying, look, you can come and use Dynamic Planner out the box as a full end-to-end platform, or if you want a bit of it over there, a bit of it over here, we recognise you might want that in your estate, or you might want your AI agent to come and use that. And I think what you were saying about kind of tech in this industry having taken a bit of time to get to the point where we're happy to talk about AI and automation is, I found that very stark when I joined the industry a year ago, and I joined from Confused.com, where I was director of product. Big data, big automation, mass market. We were doing a lot of these things already, and actually it's really exciting to be in this industry at this moment, because there is a huge cultural shift.
Yeah. I mean, our tech hasn't changed in a decade when every bit of tech we touch in our home lives has been has transformed.
You can talk to it.
I don't really understand why, and I think the difference, notwithstanding the really impressive percentages you were just talking about earlier, you know, if you want to change your core system, you better be certain that that is going to deliver, because it's a horrible thing to have to do. And if you think that you might double your productivity, then that might be worth starting, because you'll probably end up improving your productivity by 20%, because it's never as good as it says it's going to be. So if you think it's only going to deliver 20%, it's probably not worth starting. And that's where we've been for ages. And now we've got tech that actually can, properly actually make a difference. We've freed up, I don't know, I think an hour and a half, an hour and 3/4 from every client meeting, from all of our partners that have been forward thinking enough to give it a go, which is most of them. I mean, that's half the time.
That's a lot of money saved as well. And we talk about wanting to increase the access to advice. We're saying, I thought it was really interesting when you say that actually advisors now have capacity. Some advisors. That wasn't the case a year ago or 2 years ago. And actually, this is incredible for our industry, and also incredible for the UK population who will benefit from this. We have to think about the benefit to the end client as well.
Yeah. Just sort of conscious of time, I want to move on to a few other areas. So not everything within an advice firm relates to financial advice. Like any other business, financial advisors have other things they have to think around, sort of customer acquisition and marketing, things like that. Madeleine, you said that you sort of embed AI throughout your business. I just wanted to sort of get a sense of what some of the other use cases outside of the sort of specifically to do with financial advice.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first started the company, it was sort of slightly before, our first iteration was slightly before this AI kind of magic moment. And the way that investors would judge us, or judge any startup, was by team size growth. So team size growth reflected success as one of their KPI metrics, which is an entirely different debate. Now it's the inverse. So it's all about being a lean team and demonstrating that you're able to utilize technology really, really quickly. We use it from everything, from client acquisition. The tools that we use to do reach out is all automated in terms of how we write our communication. A big thing that we use is actually speech to text, because it gives that very, very personal touch, because it is you speaking, and you don't kind of lose the essence of who you are, but it's actually mentally much, much easier and quicker just to write that way. In terms of how we engage with our partners, we have design partnerships. We work very, very closely with our clients, and often we use vibe coding to spin up a prototype. So they say, I wish it could do this, and we're stuck around this thing around cash flow, let's say. We can, in half a day, basically put instructions into a LLM that we have trained to be able to spin up a prototype to say to the client, is this what you meant? Do you want your advisors to try it? Is this the look and feel? Is this giving you what you need? And that saves us so much time, because it's all about how can we quickly solve problems, ship it, and move on to the next problem. For us, it's very, we're constantly looking at it. We're constantly looking at new tools too. But it's all about, it's kind of like the energy in is what you get out. So you can't expect a magic wand and it's all going to be perfect and lovely. We put a lot of effort into the instructions that we give, making sure everything that we do is replicable. We have templates, and that really helps the quality of what we get back.
Another question sort of around client acquisition. So obviously you've got more customers now who are, instead of using a search engine, we've had SEO, search engine optimization for years. Are we now having chat GPT optimization? How do advice firms sort of change their communications such that they are picked up by these large language models when Joe Smith goes on to ChatGPT and says, "What do I do with this £100,000 that I've just inherited?" How do you manage that? Are you managing
but not to give everyone else something else to worry about from the first talk, but so it's very similar to traditional SEO. You still got to worry about some of the same things like search engine ranking, what keywords you're hitting. But I guess one of the key tips for I don't know what the term is, AI engine optimization, is to sort of write in a way that your clients would write. And you guys know that because you know your clients. So if you can write in a sort of Q&A format, you're sort of getting the semantics of what you're trying to get across on your website, very similar to how your clients might approach you, then that's going to help you in that battle for ChatGPT's however many words it returns.
Anyone else, any experience of ChatGPT optimization?
I don't know, I feel like I should have asked my head of marketing who's sitting over there before. If I'm honest, our business grows through referral still, as most businesses have done. So our digital presence is largely to validate what a client has been told by somebody that they've spoken to. So a little bit different, not to say that we do have an increasing number of clients coming to us, but it's not the core of why we grow.
There was a good
just checking.
There was a good article in Professional Advisor a while back on.
You're not allowed to say that. It's MMI.
Oh, sorry.
An average article.
There's an UK article
in another
website
paper
somewhere, talking about the amount of UK adults that receive financial advice and the proportion of UK adults who go to ChatGPT for financial guidance and advice. And it was about 40% for ChatGPT and about 9% for advice, right? But I guess as advisors, it's about how can you utilize that to either get in with a client or have more productive conversations with your existing clients. It's an interesting space. It changes every week. So
it's a new version of an old problem, isn't it? It's a new version of I was down the pub and my friend said I should put my money here. It just happens to be that everybody is befriending ChatGPT.
Well,
you have conversations about, I was speaking to Chat the other day, and you say, oh, okay, lovely. It's a much larger scale version of it.
This challenge is also happening in the legal space, for example, and an argument that is being presented to, say you're doing a tenancy agreement and you put it into ChatGPT to ask, it's fairly low risk, right? And it's better than nothing. You're probably going to get some form of insight, something to think about that you wouldn't have before. So their arguments, the companies that are building out these kind of like cheap legal contract reviews, is that actually it's better than nothing. It's serving an currently underserved population. And you can see that same logic applying to the advice gap, right? Like, is it better than nothing? Are there guardrails that we can put in to ensure it actually is better than nothing and there's clear escalation paths to the right professionals at the right price when it gets to the point where actually it's damaging? So I think that is such an evolving piece that we need to tackle too.
So just got a couple of minutes left before we turn to questions. So I just want to talk about the future of the advice market. Where does this leave advisors? Are we going to see different businesses succeeding than we have in the past? Is the role of an advisor changing? What are we going to be looking like in this event in 15, 20 years' time?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we're all at the moment working on getting our advisors able to serve more clients. And in the UK in particular, the market is so huge for people that are not getting advice that I think we can be at that game for a very long time before anybody needs to be concerned about there not being a role for advisors. There are some digital advice solutions. We've developed a digital advice solution. It's for people that won't get value from face-to-face advice, and there's a chunk of people out there that should be speaking to an advisor that are not, and I think that's what we're all at, isn't it? Trying to.
I think there's never been a more exciting time to get into the advice profession. It's going to radicalise so much in the next 5 to 10 years. I think advisors will become much more entrepreneurial. I think it will become much more a relationship type business because a lot of the admin and the manual work you're doing now will become automated. I think it'll be easier to spin up, we call them next generation wealth managers, where it's a bit more a vision or personality led, and you can really grow the practice to be able to accomplish what you want, which could be servicing certain types of the advice market. I think more women will get into advice as well because with AI we have what we call an always on economy, where your practice will still be working for you whilst you sleep. Working hours will shift too, and we'll be able to also now adapt to the change of financial power within households, which is moving more towards women as well. So I think it's really exciting. I think it's a great place, especially for younger people to come in if they want to grow their own business, be their own boss, have something passionate that they can work on, and also do very well with it.
Peter?
Yeah, I was sort of thinking about that stat around people going to ChatGPT more. I guess you could probably do a show of hands how many people have received some advice, whether that's medical or financial or whatever, from ChatGPT. But you still, I don't know, if you receive some medical advice from ChatGPT, you still go to the doctor. You don't fully trust it and rely on it, so that there's still space for that human for trust. And actually, if more people are using ChatGPT to, say, talk about their advice, that's a good thing for our industry. That's an influx of potential customers for our advisors. So yeah, I agree. It's an exciting time to become an advisor, I think.
Yeah, I would echo the rest of the panel. We as I said, we've worked hard over the last 15, 20 years to help people who use our platform and as part of their tech stack or the whole thing to get from 70 to 100 to 120 to 160 to 190 clients per advisor. We want that to keep going. You know, our goal is to help anybody who uses Dynamic Planner to try and get that number much closer to 300 and to be able to do what the SJPs of the world can do, because you've got massive company behind you that's supporting and you've got all of these kind of support functions. We want to bring advice at scale to smaller entrepreneurial firms to make sure that everybody can benefit from some of those, and that won't lose the edge. We're not completely coming for your lunch. I think there's plenty for everybody to benefit from. There are 10 million UK adults who would benefit from some form of advice. Whether they all want to pay ongoing servicing fees or all want to pay the same amount, I don't know. The commercial model may need to change, but the advice is there.
I would like to leave some time for questions, if that's okay. We've got about 3.5 minutes left. Before we turn to questions, I just want to say that all sounds really positive, which is completely different from the previous presentation. So hopefully everyone's G'd up a little bit. Would anyone like to ask any questions to our panellists? We've got a question over here.
I'm sure we could do some negativity if anybody wants.
Yeah.
We could do a slicer.
Yeah, Terminator and everyone's going to,
Hi, good morning. Just want to get your review or comments on things I just keep hearing nowadays from my firm and other firms, from colleagues and friends basically. They say, was the AI at this time can work for, say, automated suitability reports for, say, like NER reviews, it might be difficult to get it working for like advice reports, because the advice reports can be more analytical and they involved a lot of analysis, comparisons, charges and other stuff that the AI cannot cope with at this time. So I don't know, is that correct at this time?
Yeah, so we make a lot of reports. We do more than 130,000 reports a month on behalf of various different people, different types of reports, and it's really important to us that we put the infrastructure and the scaffolding in place that 85-90% of the reports are deterministic. So that last 10% can use Gen AI or whatever AI of choice. But as Madeleine said, that making sure that you actually spend the time to set it up properly so that how the AI does it is only in that bit that needs it is really important. So our deterministic report generation service can allow you to do a review report in 5 minutes. You might want to use Gen AI to do it in 5 seconds, but speaking to our customers, they then spend 15, 20, 30 minutes reading it, checking it, and reviewing it anyway. So actually, there are use cases where Gen AI is really important, and there are use cases where you might want to use deterministic automation instead. So I guess that would be my
The other blocker that you'll get is, you mentioned those different data points. Where does that data come from? Yeah. And do you feel comfortable with the quality of the data? It's very difficult to build an AI system when you don't have API connections to the different data sources that are high quality enough. Like, it's garbage in, garbage out. I mean, that hasn't changed at all. So investment and kind of thought around that is really, really important too.
I think this is an area as well that you have to work harder to make work. So, my comment about shrink wrap note taker, I would not be saying that about report writing. It's harder.
I was going to say, we've got a tool that goes from fact find to your full suitability report, illustrations, all the rest of it. But you've got to get your data right first to make all that middle bit work. We actually stripped a lot of our machine learning out of that middle bit, because actually having it deterministic is compliant, and it allows us to adhere to policy better. The raw information comes from conversation, documentation, and that's where a lot of our focus is at the minute.
So we've got 4 seconds left, so I can ask a question. So question from Slido, will I be saving any time making sure I understand AI systems and have the correct tools rather than just speaking to clients? There is an element of scalability. How big do you have to be before it's worth investing huge amounts of time, or do you not have to invest huge amounts of time?
I think that's what I was trying to say about kind of the SJPs of the world. You've got people who can spend the time doing that. One of the things that we're saying to our SME clients is, let us do that for you. If you want to use our platform, we will be doing that and making that easy and simple and scalable for you. If everybody goes away and navel gazes and thinks about AI for the next 12 months, no one's thinking about the customers. Advisors need time to be with customers, so choosing the right amount of time to spend on that is really important, and maybe partnering with people on this panel or in other places to benefit from them spending the time on it would be my answer.
I think the way software is consumed now is different. Majority of AI products will enable you also to do a free trial or a pilot, or to try it out in some regards. So I encourage you to do that, and it will become very, very obvious. It's probably not going to be a static sort of quality measure as well, because things evolve very quickly. But the kind of notion of you have to go through a 2-year transformation program to be able to do something is being eroded, which is great, right? Because it's much less legwork to be able to change and adopt a new system.
Okay. I think we are over time. There are a few more questions that came in through Slido, and I noticed another hand up in the room. I assume the 4 of you will be hanging around for a lot of today, so feel free to come and grab anyone later on. But yeah, thank you very much for the panellists, and hope that was useful and